Welcome to the deep dive. We cut through the noise, stack up the sources, and, well, we try to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge for you.
And today we're looking at a story that really sent shockwaves everywhere. The tragic death of conservative activist Charlie Kirk.
It's an event that really demands a closer look, doesn't it? Not just because it's shocking, but for what it tells us about, the political climate and these growing worries about violence.
Exactly. So our mission here is to kind of unravel the complex story behind his assassination in Utah. We've gone through the reports, the articles, eyewitness stuff.
And we want to give you a clear, comprehensive picture, the incident, the context, the fallout, but, without just drowning you in information.
Right. We'll lay out the specifics of what happened that day. We'll look at Charlie Kirk's really significant role in conservative politics.
And then connect it to that bigger, maybe more sobering discussion about political violence, historically and, well, how it seems to be rearing its head again now.
Yeah, and we have to touch on the reactions, too. The outrage here in the U.S.,
Right.
across party lines, but also the global condemnation.
And there's that surprising new directive from the State Department about online speech we need to talk about. Plus, a personal story that kind of brings the whole issue of violence down to a very human level.
So, yeah, get ready for an insightful journey. The goal is for you to walk away understanding not just the facts, but maybe a bit more of the why behind them.
Okay, let's start with the event itself. The political world was just completely rocked on Wednesday, September 10th, 2025. Charlie Kirk, 31 years old, assassinated in Orem, Utah.
And this wasn't hidden away. It happened right out in the open in front of a large crowd.
Yeah, he was at an outdoor event, Utah Valley University, taking questions. There were about, 3,000 people there?
Roughly, yeah. And that's when he was hit. A single gunshot to the neck. The sources describe it as just immediate, devastating, right there in front of everyone.
The details are pretty stark. There's FBI security footage, apparently.
Yes, it reportedly shows the killer getting onto a nearby roof,
Right.
firing the shot, they think, with a bolt-action rifle, for
Right.
precision.
And range. Right.
Exactly. And then just disappearing into an adjacent neighborhood. Vanished.
Investigators, both federal and state, they found the rifle later.
They did, yes. And a manhunt is very much underway. They've described the shooter as college age.
And they have good video footage, which is key.
It's a significant lead, absolutely. And it just underlines how brazen this attack was.
Mhm.
Calculated, but incredibly public.
The immediate impact. I mean, all the sources say this. It sent shockwaves through an already fractured political landscape. Just immediate nationwide mourning.
Yeah, he leaves behind his wife, Erica, and 2 children. And the reaction, it wasn't just sadness. There were immediate, very strong calls for the killer's execution.
A real sense of anger there, demanding justice.
That emotional intensity really underscores the next part of this. Just how influential Charlie Kirk had become. Why his death hit so hard here and internationally.
So let's dig into that. Who was Charlie Kirk? Why was he such a big deal? He wasn't just another pundit, was he? He was more like a strategist, especially with young people.
That's a good way to put it. A leading activist, definitely a prominent voice for that new generation of conservative media figures. But yeah, strategic too.
And he started young. Turning Point USA, he co-founded that at 18.
Just 18, yeah. An organization aimed squarely at promoting conservative ideas on college campuses, going right where the young people were.
And then came Turning Point Action in 2019. That was more directly political.
Right, a nonprofit, an advocacy group, actively backing conservative candidates, holding these huge rallies, the ones with speakers like former President Trump.
And that connection to Trump is crucial here. He wasn't just a supporter, he was a really visible, staunch ally.
Very much so. Reuters pointed out he backed Trump's claims about the 2020 election, the fraud claims. Shows how lying they were.
And this wasn't just perceived influence, it was acknowledged at the top, right? Trump credited him directly.
Frequently, yeah. For driving young voters, voters of color, especially in the 2024 campaign, and Vice President J.D. Vance. Well, he put it very bluntly.
What did he say?
He said, so much of the success we've had in this administration traces directly to Charlie's ability to organize and convene. And get this, he added that Kirk helped us staff the entire government.
Wow, help staff the entire government. That really drives home the level of, operational influence he had. It wasn't just talking points.
Not at all. And on top of the organizing, he built this huge personal platform. His podcast, over 500,000 listeners a month. His X account, what was it?
5.3 million followers. That's a massive audience for one person to reach directly.
It really is. So you combine that organizational skill with that kind of media reach. He was undeniably a central, powerful force in conservative politics. His ability to mobilize that specific demographic, it was, well, pretty unique.
Which, of course, in such a polarized time also made him a lightning rod. And this tragedy, it forces us into that tougher conversation about political violence in America.
It really does. There's a piece by journalist Tom Madden. He asks why violence is so common in a free country and how it sort of weaves itself into our lives, our careers, our culture.
It's a heavy question, especially now.
It is. And Madden connects it to his own past, as a reporter in Philadelphia,
Hmm?
seeing the aftermath of gang wars, robberies, mob hits,
Yeah.
bleeding bodies lying in the streets, as he put it.
He draws parallels to historical political violence, too.
Yeah, like Kennedy's assassination. And even that more recent shocking event where candidate Trump was shot in the ear in Pennsylvania, it makes you ask if we're seeing history sort of repeating in a dark way.
And it seems like that echo is getting louder. Reuters described this period as the most sustained period of U.S. political violence since the 1970s.
Sure.
That's alarming.
It is, especially when you factor in the 2 attempts on President Trump's life just in 2024. It signals a really dangerous trend.
And Madden shared a personal story, too, didn't he, about how violence affected him directly.
He did. It's quite striking.
Hmm.
He talked about being at an angry black protest rally back in Philly, and someone just punched him, broke 2 of his teeth.
Just like that.
Just like that. And he said it literally punched him into a different career. He left reporting, went into PR, worked for AT&T, even worked on fair housing campaigns for Mayor Ed Koch in New York.
So even that, quote, lesser degree of violence completely changed his life path.
Exactly. It's a powerful reminder of the human cost. Beyond the huge headlines, it ripples outwards.
In all this context, the high-profile attacks, the personal stories, it leads back to those fundamental questions Madden raises.
Right, the really scary ones. Like, are assassins going to assassinate freedom itself? Kill our Constitution? Murder our way of life?
Assassinate our democracy, our freedom to debate, to politically disagree. It really gets to the heart of what's at stake, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. These aren't just philosophical points. They feel like real, tangible threats right now.
Okay, so shifting gears slightly, let's look at the reactions to Kirk's assassination. The immediate response in the U.S. was pretty remarkable in its unity, wasn't it?
It really was. A wave of condemnation, and it crossed party lines. Bipartisan outrage and, well, sorrow.
President Trump, obviously a close ally, he lamented Kirk's death, said something about his connection with young people.
Yeah, he said, no one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He also promised to find who was responsible and announced a posthumous Presidential Medal of Freedom for Kirk.
Which is one of the highest civilian honors.
Exactly, a significant gesture. But it wasn't just Republicans. Former Presidents Biden and Obama, they both put out separate statements condemning the attack.
Biden said something like, "There's no place for this kind of violence."
Precisely. And the RNC chairman, Joe Gruters, he specifically called for unity, saying Republicans and Democrats need to stand together against this brutality. That united front is, I think, a really key detail here.
And the shock wasn't just contained within the U.S., right? It went global pretty quickly.
Oh, absolutely. Leaders from all over expressed solidarity. It resonated internationally. For example, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu called Kirk a lion-hearted friend of Israel who was murdered for speaking truth.
And the Italian prime minister.
Giorgia Meloni. She called it shocking, a heinous murder, and a deep wound for democracy. Similar messages came in from the UK, France, Poland. A real global outcry.
So this unified condemnation, both here and abroad, it really put a spotlight on the dangers of political polarization, didn't it? Lots of calls for reflection, for toning down the rhetoric.
Yes, but beyond just calls for reflection, the U.S. government took a very concrete, proactive step.
You mean the State Department warning?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Landau put out a directive on X, aimed right at foreigners who might praise or rationalize Kirk's killing online.
What did it say specifically?
He said he was disgusted by some comments he'd seen and made it clear. Foreigners who glorify violence and hatred are not welcome visitors to our country.
Wow. So actual consequences attached.
Yes. The directive basically says that kind of speech could put your visa status at risk. It fits with the administration's wider approach to immigration screening, more social media vetting.
And the justification is national security.
Right. The State Department essentially said the U.S. shouldn't grant visas to people whose presence doesn't align with U.S. national security interests.
Which, of course, raises huge questions for you, the listener, and everyone, really. How is the government going to police online speech from non-citizens? What counts as a national security concern for visa purposes now?
It's definitely new territory, could have major implications for free expression online, international travel, all sorts of things.
Okay, so let's try and tie these threads together. We've talked about the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk, this hugely influential conservative activist, an event that shook the nation.
We've looked at how his death connects to these worrying historical and current patterns of political violence in America, raising those big questions about democracy and freedom itself.
We've seen the powerful reactions, the bipartisan condemnation here, the global outcry, and just now, this significant move by the State Department regarding online speech and national security.
It paints a pretty complex and frankly concerning picture of where things stand.
It really does. And as we wrap up this deep dive, here's something to think about. We're in this era of intense political division. Now, the U.S. government is taking official action against non-citizens who praise political violence online. What could that mean long term? For global discussion, for free speech, even for how we define harmful rhetoric in this super connected world?
Yeah, it really forces us to consider that balance, doesn't it? Between free expression and the very real need for public safety for de-escalation.
Definitely leaves us with a lot to mull over.
It certainly does.
We hope this deep dive has given you a clearer, maybe more nuanced understanding of these critical events. Join us next time for another deep dive.